Welcome to the Random Encounter Show. I'm DeathStalker V, coming in late at night for another table talk episode. If you're brand new around here, I'm going to tell you that our community has a little bit to talk about, channel-wise, business-wise, whatever you want to call it, before we get into the main topic of our talk, which will be related to something about hobby gaming. I really don't have any clue of what we're going to talk about. This is completely script free and pretty much impromptu. Anyways, guys, I've taken off the last 2 episodes. It's not really been 2 weeks, but it's been 2 episodes worth of Table Talk, our weekly broadcast here. As many of you know, because I've posted over in the community tab of our channel, my Aunt Deborah passed away 2 Monday nights ago, right as I was getting ready to film that week's Table Talk for Tuesday, since we've moved it to Tuesday now. Hey, I thought Table Talk Tuesday sounded good, right? I don't know. It's chaos around here. It's the Random Encounter Show. We live up to the name. But she passed away, and I knew with my family it was going to be a bunch of phone calls and this and that and everything. And so I took that week off. I posted it on our community tab. Then within that week, I had 3 more people in my life pass away. A neighbor of ours, another neighbor who no longer lived here, who lives in Utah, he passed away. And it's just been nuts. 4 deaths. So it's, I don't know, it's just been a wild time. But I have to say that all of you who commented your condolences and things, that meant a ton to me. It really shows me that what I've wanted out of this YouTube channel, to build a strong community with people I interact with and who enjoy gaming and such with me, a really positive place. It really, really shows me that you guys have it going on here. That goes, like I say it almost every episode, but it's just still amazing to me because I'm in so many different places on social media. Well, not necessarily so many. I hang around some until I just leave because I don't have any tolerance for today's social media. But I see a lot of places on social media, and there's just nothing really healthy about them. So, like I said, I think it's a rare thing we have going on here. And I come back to a huge surprise that we're over 1,000 subscribers. Who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? It came at a weird time in life, a time surrounded by death and such, but it's still amazing to me, and we still need to celebrate that milestone because it's definitely a milestone on this channel. I don't know. I just don't know, but I really do appreciate each and every one of you for taking time out to comment and such. But we're back. We're back. What have I been doing? Just because I haven't been on camera, it doesn't mean that I've been laying around doing nothing. In fact, I got very, very busy in the studio. Almost started syncing those W's like V's, like we're Eastern European or Russian. What do you want? What kind of random? I don't know. It's weird coming back because, as some of you know from my early videos, I'm a little bit camera shy. So coming back to it after a week or 2 off, it's something to overcome. But I've been busy in the studio. I'm busy because, as we said in a few Table Talk episodes back, especially considering around my commission painting and stuff, when we went into the studio, I'm working on rebuilding the miniature collection. Yeah? I'm working on building and painting and getting things ready for the table for you guys. I have several projects I am working on like a spider with 8 legs. Yeah, 1 leg on this project, 2 legs on this one, 3 on this one, maybe more than 8 legs. I don't know. Uh, but I'm trying to pull and work and get these things ready so we can really come out of first gear. And I don't like talking about things that aren't ready just yet. So again, I don't want to try to put anybody in any suspense. I will say if things go as planned, there will be some things published at some point, along with stuff we do along here on the show in the solo role playing game department, along with some other gaming departments. Yeah, I am published, and I have I'm I write much better. I'm much more astute in writing than I am in speaking, especially on camera. So that may be a relief to many of you. But yeah, that's what I'm aiming to do. Is I've written in the academic world, in my professional subject matters. I want to bring my hobby gaming to life on paper and share it with all of you and gamers around the world, because I think I have a lot of different things that I enjoy and do, and it's not just some clone or a copy or a different take on what's already around. That's a whole nother episode of how I could complain about the gaming community and how there's so much coming out lately that is just carbon copies of something else with the flavor changed, the genre changed, or whatever. I mean, I don't mind. A lot of it's good. A lot of it's good, but it will be refreshing to try to get some new stuff out there and see how people enjoy it. Uh, anyways, anyways, before we lose complete track of thought and things we got to do around here. First off, let's wheel the cannons out here at the Fortress of Doom. Before I had to take a break, Jack McCarthy sent us in a super thanks. So firing the cannon off for Jack is 2 or 3 weeks overdue. For those who are new around here, we fire a cannon off, a digital cannon anyways, a metaphorical cannon. Yeah? Anyways. Jack, I thank you for supporting the show. I know that I speak on behalf of the Random Encounter Army when I say we salute you and we thank you. Fire! Why am I laughing? I don't know. I see the cannon thing in my mind. I don't know. I get a kick out of this stuff. I'm an old guy messing around with videos. You should see some of the terrible things I do that I would not put up on YouTube. Anyways, like I said, anybody supporting the show, it means a ton to me. And yes, super thanks help very much directly with things around the Fortress of Doom. We've got internet, electricity, and mouths to feed and all that. But subscribing and commenting and sharing and doing all this stuff that you guys are doing, that's just as important. And I want to thank everyone for sticking with us. I can't believe we're the 1K subscribers. I can't believe it. Yeah? Now, talking about those projects I'm working on, I wanted to mention something. This may be helpful to people. Anytime I'm dealing with something where I have to process it. We go through a little processing when people pass. Death doesn't have a huge effect on me. To me, I don't know. I couldn't help but wonder if they're not getting out of here on time. With the way the world's going lately. I can't help but wonder if they're the lucky ones getting out of here before all the what could happen might happen. I don't know. I don't even want to get off into stuff. But death isn't some huge sorrowful thing for me. And we could create a YouTube channel on that topic. So I'm not going to get so much into that. Let's stick to gaming. Anyways, you still need to process things. And one of the best ways I know of doing it is get yourself into some kind of creative project that you can sort of lose yourself in for a little while. Yeah? So me, it was painting. I think I broke a record for myself. In 1 week, I painted over 30 miniatures. No joke. I've got them sitting here at the table because I've been working on a little bit of game development. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, we got mats down. We've got different terrain and stuff over here. It's a total mess on the other end of the table. But I've been working on painting miniatures. A big group of space marine type characters and several different kinds of aliens and terrain pieces and such. There's just an example. These are just really what I would consider tabletop standard quick paints. These are a little bit more. You know, there's a lot of different layers and colors and such involved with these. But with a lot of these aliens and such, most of them are just a single coat of Citadel contrast paint. I've been messing around with that. Not slap chop or anything. I think slap chop's an extra method you can take to make it look maybe a little bit better. But if speed is your goal and you're just trying to get gaming pieces to the table, I think it's an extra step that gives you extra time. You have to dry brush the primers and all that. You can get an absolutely great looking miniature for the tabletop, in my opinion, just by painting 1 or 2 coats of contrast color on a miniature. This miniature has a total of 4 different colors on it if you count the black gun. And like I said, we painted over 30 miniatures of various types in a week. So that was definitely some speed painting, and they look fantastic to me. The Marines came out just beautiful. Now these actually, they might have 1 or 2 contrast paints on them somewhere, but these I use my old apple barrel for. Yeah, some metallic paints and whatnot, but the Marines are in all kind of poses and stuff. I really like the Marines. Just showing you one more. Why not? We got a nice little medic there. But yeah. But why do I say losing yourself in a project helps with the processing? We'll get into a little bit of psychology. The real you has to do the processing. And if you really want that to happen, you have to sort of get past your identities. The mental you, basically. Who you think you are, what you think you are, who you think others are, etc. Getting into painting and such is such a hyper-focused activity that the mind sort of turns off all the outside world and you're just directly focused on one thing, and that's where your consciousness is. So it really allows the actual you, you know, behind the ego and the mental ID and everything else, the id, it allows the process, and I find it a wonderful tool. It's very akin to certain styles of meditation, actually. Okay, I'm boring everybody to death. I'm boring everybody to death. We'll talk more about painting these miniatures in a minute because we're going to talk about hobby gaming. What we did receive, we received a package here we need to do a mail call on from Richard in the UK. We're going to have to get Richard in the UK on the show. I've been talking to him every day. We'll have to get him on for the friends of the show because he's definitely becoming a friend of the show. Now, I really don't know what's in here. Miniatures is wrote on the customs form. So without further ado, we got our guest star here. Here's Lucky. And I sharpened Lucky while we had the time off. But let's get in here and see what Richard has sent us over the great pond. Richard's such a good guy. And again, someone else that I met through doing this show that I pretty much became instant friends with. It's providing, guys. I love it. I love having people to talk gaming with. I'm primarily a solo gamer. Where I live, there is no gaming community unless you want to play some form of cards, you know, like poker or bridge or some such, or you want to play dominoes. And I enjoy both, and I go and play both with some people in the community here and there. But for real gaming, you know, hobby gaming, role-playing games, some board games and such, there's not much of a community. So having people to talk hobby gaming with is a huge plus. Let's put Lucky away here. I'd rather cut myself than this mat. Guys, what happened with these mats? They used to be so cheap. These neoprene mouse pad mats. This is double-sided. Used to be able to buy these things for like 30 bucks. Now they're like 130 bucks. I guess everything is. But yeah, I'd rather cut myself with Lucky than cut this mat. Woo! Anyways, let's see what Richard sent us here. Make sure there's nothing in the wrapping paper. The wrapping paper we're going to save because I recycle packaging materials. Oh, do we have anything there? Richard, I don't know what Richard said. It says miniatures. And I see some things. Richard did say it was stuff to help me rebuild the collection. And I asked him, did you see the walls in the studio? We only have like 384 miniatures hanging up there that I'm trying to work on. So, but Richard's a good guy. And I can never complain about getting great stuff to work with because it's all for you guys here on the show. So let's see. We got something here in this bubble wrap. What do we got here? It is a massive orc of some sort. We got a nice, look at that base. Guys, I'm really getting in. I got my buddy David, Cyber Cowboy 13. Me and him was working on some projects together too. He's putting together a 3D printing farm. More on that later. That's coming later. I'm super excited about that though, but I'm really getting into the 3D printed stuff. This stuff is coming a long way, especially with the resin printers. But we've got some kind of massive orc there. He's missing some extremities, but he's mostly there. Beautiful miniature. Beautiful miniature. Wow. And we got, what do we have here? I don't know. It looks, maybe they're not massive orcs and stuff. Maybe this is a different scale. Okay, definitely, what is this, 54 millimeter maybe? I don't know. We have looks like a dwarf with a L cask and a club. I don't know. Beautiful miniatures though. I'm sure Richard will comment below and let us know all about this stuff. He knows I'm mostly old school, so when I'm over here, I still love my metal miniatures and things. So he's breaking me into some new material here. Let's see what we got. And I wonder if he primered these. I don't know. It looks like they were cast in black. I know they can do that. So let's see what we have here. An antlered massive owl bear. And again with a beautiful base. Check out that owl bear with the antlers on it. Yeah? Absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. Richard is sending over some beautiful stuff here. I see a bunch of Reaper stuff in here, by the way. We'll talk about Reaper in a minute. I got some things to say about Reaper. What is this? Another massive miniature. Okay, it's another orc. Wow, check that out. These would make beautiful display pieces. So I will have to. So Richard is going to make me work. But yeah, I guess that's 54 millimeter scale. I wouldn't be for sure. Maybe larger. But beautiful miniatures. It'll be interesting in painting at this scale because I've always painted at 28 millimeter and below. So, always willing to try new stuff. What do we have here? We have some metal slot bases. It looks like maybe Citadel miniatures. I'm very familiar with old school Citadel Games Workshop miniatures. We have a what is written on the base there. I can't read that. I can't read that. And I promise you, I'm literate. Who's this? I don't know. I don't know. These are interesting miniatures, though. I don't know. I'm curious. Richard will let us know here. I'm going to show the miniatures off here in a minute. Maybe this is a UK company I've never heard of. Or I'm just completely lost on these. They look like, I don't know, elves possibly? They definitely got pointed ears. I don't know. They look to be either 20 millimeter or 25 millimeter. What do you guys think? Yeah? I don't know if the tab will show up on camera. Let's see if we can get it to show up on camera. Did it? Hard to tell. This camera doesn't like things up close. I got a macro lens. We'll have to practice it. But these look like, I don't know, Moses. I mean, Moses or Moses? Hold on, there's something different on this one. Games Workshop 05. Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to Games Workshop, guys, I love 80s and 90s Games Workshop stuff. I was really heavy into Warhammer Fantasy and such, all the way up through 6th edition. I still got my 6th edition books over there. I got a story we could tell about that, but not today. But I've still got my 6th edition books and everything for Warhammer Fantasy, the battle game. Also Warhammer Fantasy role-playing games, and a lot of other hobby games. Space Hulk, Dark Future, Warhammer Quest, Advanced Hero Quest, just all kinds of stuff over there. Chainsaw Warrior. I mean, I love the old school Games Workshop stuff, especially the hobby games. But after 6th edition, I sort of checked out. But these appear to be wood elves, now that I'm looking at them, or some form of them. When did Age of Sigmar come out? Was it out by 2005? I definitely checked out for Age of Sigmar. I don't know, but Citadel, I knew I recognized the look of these miniatures, because Citadel miniatures, the older they are, the more distinctive they are. But these are some fantastic looking, sort of wood elves, tribal kind of looking elves. So I'll research those. A bog skeleton with axe and shield. That looks fantastic. These are the era of Reaper miniatures I love. We got a Ghast. Yeah, Richard knew what he was doing, because these are the kind of stuff you have to build up. We got some Warlord Viking Berserkers from the Hell Caesar game. Yeah? Now Richard loves his Vikings. Richard loves his Vikings, apparently. I love Vikings too. So I'm going to guess, wow. I'm going to guess we got a huge bag of hands and hammers and some more bases and stuff. I'm going to guess there for this guy. Yeah? I don't know. We'll have to get in there and play. We got another Ghast from Reaper. We got more Ghast from Reaper. How many Ghast did he send? I don't know, but Ghast, the Reaper Ghast, like a model like this, you can paint this up and use this for ghouls, zombies, supernatural kind of games, just about anything you can think of. They work perfectly for that. So it's a multi-use figure. We got an evil wizard. Yeah? What is that? Oh, a phase cat. I didn't even know a Displacer Beast from old school D&D. I didn't even know Reaper had done their version of the Displacer Beast. That's a find. That's a cool miniature. Another bog skeleton. I just painted a massive group of skeletons, so we'll add these back in. Lizard men. Now, Richard's been painting lizard men over there, and I've got a group of lizard men to paint, so that will definitely be added in. And it's an archer, which is good because you don't come across a lot of lizard men archers in the Reaper range. Another bog skeleton. Hell Caesar, some more Vikings, some more lizardmen archers, some skeletons, another displacer beast. That's the thing about these old Reaper metals, is nowadays the glue is letting go. It can't hold the metal any longer, but that did a fairly good job of holding it in there. And then a lizardman archer. So what a fantastic box. And Richard said he wanted to send that over to help fill some holes in the collection to use for here on the show, especially when we get into some of our solo gaming projects and such. So a big shout out to Richard. Richard, like I said, he has quickly become a good friend of mine. But from the get-go, he's been a huge supporter of the show. So we owe a lot of gratitude over to Richard in the UK. And hopefully one day I will be able to pay him back, get him back somehow, some way. Yeah? Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Anyways, here we go. Let's talk about hobby gaming for a little bit. Yeah? We'll come back to those miniatures I painted. We'll just talk about that. We'll save a full episode for just talking about what is hobby gaming, what I talk about hobby gaming. But nowadays, you know, these miniatures, like I said, these aren't. We got various different ones. There's you know, these are very much speed painted. From priming to painting to varnishing, I may have 5 to 6 minutes in per miniature here. Total. Now that's work time, you know. You have to let coats dry and all that, but as far as actually having to move a brush and work, you got about 5 to 6 minutes of time into these. That's what I consider speed painting. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, I can paint at much, much higher levels than this if I wanted to. But when it comes to getting games to the table and playing the miniatures, to me that's more important than the paint jobs. Right? I don't know. Everybody hobbies differently. I had this conversation with someone last week on painting miniatures. And they weren't happy with the way their miniatures were looking and talking about how long it took to paint miniatures. And the thing that came to me was how social media has changed hobby gaming so much over the last several years. And it's not all good. It's not all bad. For one thing, it's helped the hobby grow exponentially. Yeah? YouTubers, Facebook groups, Twitter, all these places where people can gather and talk about hobby gaming from their home. Instead of having to meet at conventions or local game stores and get their doses from having small groups and such, it really opened up the world network of hobby gamers. We quickly found ourselves using social media. So it's been a fantastic boon. Like I said, it can be a very positive thing. It's been very positive for me here on YouTube, doing the channel around gaming. But the attitude toward gaming has also changed through social media. And I think it's not necessarily something that people put out there on purpose. You know, I don't think it's a purposeful thing. I think that we all see things and we come away from them with some kind of new expectation based on what we've seen. And there's so many people out there that are just master painters. Master painters. Miniature painting has come so far now. If you go back and look at miniature painting in the 70s and the 80s and then the 90s, you can see a progression. If you look at it from 90s to about 2010, you can see some good progressions. But from 2010 till now in 2023, It's like we've hit warp speed on miniature painting, terrain, and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's mostly due to social media. People getting on and showing you how to paint, how they paint this, how they make that, tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to bring you my own stuff here. I think we're going to put it over on our membership thing when we start that off. But I'm also going to bring you stuff for just the general audience as well, because we don't believe in paywalls for our content that's appropriate for the show. But it's really sped things along in the progression department because people have been able to learn at a much faster and from a much more varied audience. You know, that this person over here just they discovered this thing with zenithal highlighting or slap chop. You know, now they can share that. Now lots of people know about it. Now it was around long before it started getting called slap chop. But different materials to use for basing and different glues and green stuff sculpting. Sometimes when there's something that I'm rusty on or something I'm not familiar with that I want to try with a miniature, I'll definitely look up and see what people are talking about. But it does sort of build some false expectations, you know, when it comes to social media. Because no matter what level you're painting at, out there's going to be people that make your stuff look like kindergarten level painting stuff. You'll look at your stuff and say, wow, my stuff doesn't look as good as his, nowhere near, or hers, nowhere near as good as theirs. I really need to focus on improving myself. And there's nothing really wrong with that. Unless it stops you from getting to the table and enjoying the games that you're investing so much money and time into. That's where the line really is drawn. So for me, I'm a commission painter. I can paint to a pretty high standard in my opinion. Now I wouldn't consider myself a master or going to apply for the Golden Demon or anything like that. No way. But as far as actual gaming pieces go and painting them up to look fantastic for the table, I consider myself pretty decent. I never like to toot my own horn, but I would consider myself, honestly, in a non-biased way, just decent. But there's always a trade-off. You know, that if you want your miniatures to look like your favorite master painter YouTube miniature, their miniatures, you have to understand that no matter what they say, a very highly detailed miniature is going to be an investment of at least an hour, 2 hours, maybe a span of over a week or so. And I think if you're building yourself that all your miniatures on the table have to be at that level of painting, you better stop and do the math on that. You know, I'm doing this full time now, but I've worked since I graduated high school. The day I was out of high school, I was working. Before I was working all through high school and stuff. But working full-time jobs, pulling overtime, doing whatever you do outside of gaming to live, does that really give you the time that you can spend 20 hours a week to paint 10, maybe 15 miniatures? That's just an honest question. That's something you've got to look at when it comes to doing things like painting miniatures. If you notice on these miniatures that I sort of did speed paints on, I left the bases black. I actually like just straight up black bases. These were what are these? These are Reaper miniatures of the IMEF range, of the Chronoscope range. These are Reaper Bones miniatures. But you notice I cut the ugly Reaper bases off of stuff, and I really like the Reaper 1-inch bases, or these really raised bases, because I like to grab my miniatures by the base instead of grabbing it by the miniature. It helps preserve the paint. Anyways, I like a black base because to me it helps me identify stuff on the table very quickly, and it just looks clean and simple, and it saves a lot of time to just glue them to the base. and paint them up and go from there. But like I said, last week I painted over 30 miniatures. If I would just had put, an hour to an hour and a half in each one, do the math on that. There's really no way you're going to get miniatures to the table. Now, maybe if you're painting for display pieces, then you can really invest the time. For a lot of display pieces, 4 to 6 hours is sort of standard on those. For the really high-end display pieces, I should say. But they're not for gaming and all that kind of stuff. So if that's what you're doing, hey, you've got all the time in the world. The painting itself is what you're there for. But for me, and I know a lot of other people, it's about getting miniatures on the table. So really, learning new techniques and learning all this stuff and improving yourself is a fantastic thing. But never be ashamed to get your stuff to the table. Don't be ashamed of your paint. Truly, you can improve on anything. I think that if I truly wanted to, I could probably paint a single miniature for the rest of my life. Just working in little tiny bits, always trying to make it perfect. I've never painted what I consider a perfect miniature. Ever. Yeah? You got to get to a level that you'll be happy with and move on. So that's what it's all about. Prioritizing that time, and really you want to enjoy the game. So like I said, seeing the expectations and all that, especially for new painters. You go back and you sit down at your painting bench and you paint up a miniature and you put 5 or 6 hours in it, and it's for a new painter, you could put that in easily. But it's still going to be nothing compared to what it'll be in a 6 months time from now of your painting level. So don't get discouraged, And everything on YouTube is not the absolute truth. Yeah, you guys are aware of that, right? Especially around painting, the 5-minute speed paints and this and that. You can't use these paints. You can use these paints. These paints are best. All that kind of stuff. Normally, that's where corporations are putting money into YouTube channels. But, like I said, it is fantastic to learn. Just don't come away with expectations that your miniatures have to match anyone else's. As long as you're happy with them for gaming, be happy with them and enjoy them. Yeah? YouTube, our social media has big influences on our hobby. One of the things that I found I don't like is primarily around the board game hobby with tabletop gaming. Is the shift from it being about gaming to it being about collecting. I don't know what's going on with all the markets now. I don't know if it's because nowadays we're not getting stuff anywhere near as cool as we got in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. I think that might be the primary reason. I don't know. But for some reason, everybody and their mother, everything that's from the 80s and 90s and such is highly collectible right now. That includes board games, but that's not all. It's what I'm trying to say is, instead of going all over the place, is that board gaming and a lot of tabletop gaming in general, the focus is on not on the gaming itself or learning the games or actually enjoying the games. It's about filling up shelves for social media. Sort of like the painting, that social media has made everything a popularity contest. And I absolutely can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's totally anathema to what I consider hobby gaming. Because hobby gaming is not necessarily about buying things. It's more about making things. Yeah? So the whole shift to selfies, taking pictures of games, having every Kickstarter that's been released for the last 2 years on a shelf and posing by it once a week to put on social media or something, or having it You know, I've got my game case, and I appreciate my collection. I can really appreciate anyone's collection. You let me take a look at somebody's gaming collection, I can tell you more about that person than their spouse can. You know, so I appreciate a game collection, especially one that seems sort of curated over time, where it has some stuff I may have never seen before. It's not just all the latest Kickstarters sitting on the shelves that's never been played, that's never been opened. Guys, I see it all the time now. I leave these groups, but once I start seeing this stuff in somewhere, I'm gone. But I've seen it all the time that people would literally buy stuff and just tell you up front that they will never play it. I don't know, guys. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. But this whole popularity contest and stuff, it would greatly behoove you that if you're actually interested into the gaming side of the hobby, to just ignore that. Just ignore that and enjoy what you have. Enjoy what you have. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to be thinking about what game to buy while you're playing another game. Learn to enjoy your games. I promise you this is a very rewarding hobby that has a great depth to it if you will sit down and focus on what you've got at hand. I don't know, guys. This has been a really random show. And I'm not trying to go off into any rants. I could. Yeah? But I don't need to come back after 2 weeks and scream at people. I don't know. How much time we got in here? How did we take that much time up? I don't know. I've got to give a big thank you to Richard in the UK. I've got to give a huge thank you to all of you in the Random Encounter Army. You guys are amazing. I'm all the time trying to push a hobby-centric positive view to you, and that's what this episode's about. If I can just summarize it, is don't take the popularity contest from social media and bring it to your hobby. Don't do it. It's empty. It's not fulfilling. No matter how much you buy, you're always going to sit there thinking about what you're missing. You're not going to enjoy it. I know a lot of people who have fallen into this collecting trap. I know people that, what do they call that? FOMO. Fear of missing out. It is one heck of a business strategy to sell things. Fear of missing out, collecting, all this kind of stuff. It's keeping you away from what you should be doing with your hobby, and that's enjoying some gaming on the table. Either by yourself or with your friends, online groups, whatever. Make sure it's a hobby. It's not just a exercise in consumerism. Yeah? I don't know. I'll tell you, if you got FOMO, stop it. Stop it. In my entire life, I've never once backed a Kickstarter. I did back Monsters. That was my first one, but I didn't even back that through Kickstarter. I literally sent Steve the money for what I wanted, and he sent it in the mail. I'm not a Kickstarter fan. I know it's helpful for a lot of people. We might even have to use it at some point. But I see so many companies that are using Kickstarter just to test markets. Hasbro set up their own version of Kickstarter to sell Hero Quest. Why? I see companies that have, been around the hobby for decades, that have sold lots and lots of product. They still go to Kickstarter. Why? If you ask me, it's because they're not sure if it went to retail it would do all right. And that's sort of scary a thought to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Don't ever take my opinions that there's some kind of concrete thing. But, like I said, don't have FOMO or fear of missing out. I don't have it because there's absolutely nothing that has come out on Kickstarter. Even the Kickstarter exclusives, this many of a kind, whatever, that I have not at some point, being patient, been able to pick up less than what it would have cost if I would have backed the Kickstarter. Yeah? Look what a time I had tracking down all the Deluxe Tunnels and Trolls Kickstarter items. I never would have thought I'd got some of those things, but if you're patient and you're diligent, they will come across your lap. They'll come across. And that goes for Kickstarters that are wildly successful and wildly popular, that people, you would think they wouldn't want to sell their stuff. I'm telling you, there's a ton of people that only buy Kickstarters just to resell. Yeah? Scalpers, I guess you call them. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Like I said, enjoy your hobby on the table. Enjoy your hobby on the table. If you're into collecting and all that kind of stuff, I have nothing against you. And I don't have anything bad to say about you. But for the people who got into gaming for gaming, and you've been taken over by this social media phenomenon, think about it for a little while. Get to the table and turn that off and enjoy your gaming. Everything will come to you in time. I promise you. I promise you. Anyways, guys, this has been Table Talk. I guess I'm still DeathStalker 5. You better believe I'm still DeathStalker 5. And you are the greatest community around tabletop gaming ever known to human civilization. I'll see you guys very shortly. We're going to continue our work towards solo gaming and building that up. And we're going to have to get in and do some reviews and stuff as well. Because, hey, there's over 1,000 of you here. I'm tip of the spear for you. I'm tip of the spear. Anyways, I'll see you guys shortly here on the Random Encounter Show. Hey, this is DeathStalker 5. I wanted to thank you for watching the Random Encounter Show. If you love tabletop gaming, solo RPGing, or classic video games, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. If you want more of the show, head over to our channel's About page. There you will find our Facebook and Facebook group pages where you can join in on the fun. Want to help support the show? Make sure to use our affiliate and sponsor links next time you're shopping for your favorite gaming products. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time when we roll for Random Encounter.